And because my partner here, Nick, has been chomping at the bit since the news came down. Was it Thursday? Was it Thursday that they sent Chandler Simpson?
It was Friday.
Thursday, Friday. Yeah. Yeah, because it was after our show. I'm just going to give you the floor first. I did a video over the weekend that made the rounds, so to speak. So let me give you the floor first for your take on Chandler Simpson going down.
Yeah, right after Topkin reported this, that Chandler Simpson was going down and Jake Mangum was coming up, I immediately put out a Twitter post saying that this was a bizarre move. And I pointed out that Chandler Simpson has swiped 19 bags this season, and he didn't even come up till like 20 or 21 games into the season, by the way, and was still second in Major League Baseball in steals, hitting 285. The average was actually, I think, over 300 over his last 16 games before he would sit down. And I said, I just don't get it. And what I should have said is, I get why the Rays are doing this. I get their explanations in theory, right? Christopher Morel has no options. Cameron Meisner, even though he's cooled off considerably at the plate, has been a plus defender for you in center field. Jake Mangum, when he was up, was a similar type of spark plug, like a Chandler Simpson, and became a fan favorite. And I have no problem with Jake Mangum coming up. Let me put that out there right now. This is not against Jake Mangum. And by the way, this weekend, he proved why he deserves to be up with the big league club. My issue is the Christopher Morel part of this. He's got no options. I understand. You traded an all-star third baseman because you really loved Christopher Morel and you were trying to get him for years, and that's fine and dandy. But Christopher Morel has been with the Rays now for 95 games. 95 games. What have you seen in those 95 games that tells you that this is a good baseball player? I understand that if you want to cut ties with him, you have to DFA him, and that opens up the possibility that some team can pick him up and try to fix him. Let them. Like,
good luck with that.
At this point, I don't care what he does in another uniform. I care about what he's doing in a Rays uniform. What is he doing to help you win baseball games? The answer is nothing. The answer is absolutely nothing. Oh, he's supposed to hit for power. Really?
He's hurting you. He's hurting you by being in the lineup.
333 at-bats with the Rays. 6. I heard Eric Neander talk about, well, Chandler Simpson's just not putting the ball in play enough. He's just ultimately not doing this enough. Oh, really? Last time I checked, I can look at numbers. Christopher Morel has 11 RBIs this year for the Rays. How many do you think Chandler Simpson has, JP?
11.
11, correct. And 5 less at bats.
And he hasn't been
RBIs.
batting in the 3, 4, and 5 hole like Christopher Morel has.
Exactly. So I put that tweet out there, and I had a lot of Rays fans who were sort of agree with me, but I had a lot come in, and I just want to know something. All I heard, we were talking in spring training. Well, who are we talking about the most? We were talking about Chandler Simpson, to the point where some people were going, oh, maybe he deserves a spot on the opening day roster. Whatever, it didn't happen. He comes up because of injuries. And I have all these Rays fans who are throwing all these stats in my face. They're throwing all these behind the backdoor type of numbers in my face, trying to justify why Chandler Simpson shouldn't be on the Major League roster. And it's like, no crap, he doesn't have those numbers. Those numbers are never going to favor a player with his skill set. You can't quantify.
You mean his defensive numbers?
Not just the defensive numbers, but some of the stuff at the plate that they mentioned. Oh, he's got no pop. And oh, he doesn't put the ball in the gap. Yeah, no crap. We know that's not Chandler Simpson's role. We know that. But he has a very unique skill set that no one, and I mean no one in Major League Baseball, not the Rays, Major League Baseball has. When the guy gets on base, he is a threat to steal second. He's a threat to steal third. And as we saw on Thursday, his last game with the Rays, get on base, steal second, steal third, force a bad throw, and produce a run all on his own. That is
without the ball being put in play. Without a ball being put in play. Show me another player in the league that has done that this year.
Exactly. MLB has loved this guy. They've had him all over highlight reels and everything on social media. Everybody wants to watch Chandler Simpson play baseball because he's the fastest man in baseball. He is a lightning rod for this team. He is a game changer for the skill set that he has. And last time I checked, the Rays were 21-16 with him. They were 8-12 before he came up. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. So spare me with all these arguments for why, Chandler Simpson doesn't do this and doesn't do that. Well, I know what he can do. Show me what Christopher Morel does. And again, the answer is nothing. So I don't care. You want to cut bait with the guy? I mean, go right ahead. Pull the Band-Aid off. You made a mistake. It hasn't worked out to this point. Let somebody else fix him. And I started thinking, it's like, if Jason Licht makes a mistake, which he's made plenty, not as many recently, but when he makes a mistake, you know what he does? He says, all right, you're done.
Screwed up. Yep.
You're done.
Bye-bye.
I screwed up. Goodbye. Julian Breezeball, when he trades 4 or 5 draft picks for Tanner Jeannot, 77 games, it's not a fit.
It's not working.
Not working out. Tanner,
it's not working.
Bye-bye. You got to go.
Because there's a sense of urgency with those franchises. There's a sense of urgency, and this is exhibit A why there's no sense of urgency with the Rays. And people say, "Oh, well, listen, they've been hurt, and they're game over 500." It's like, yeah, you should be 10 games over 500 if you weren't wasting time with Christopher Morel and somebody wasting time bringing Chandler Simpson should have made the team coming out of spring training. I mean, he showed you what he can do. He's not a kid. He's not some kid that you just drafted at 18 years old. He's 24 years old. He's played a lot of baseball, and he has a skill set that nobody else has. And for this team to say, we're going to, and I heard Neander's interview as well with Tom Krasnicki on 620. We give credit on this show when we hear things. They did a great interview with him. And Neander, and kudos to Eric Neander, by the way, for going on. When the fan base is in a tizzy, that kudos for him for doing that. Wish he would come on this show, but that's not going to happen. So we'll invite him though. You're always invited, Eric. Come on now. We'd love to talk baseball with you. We hugely support the baseball side. They're doing a great job. Right. And listen, was this a bad trade? Absolutely, 100%. It was a terrible trade. And like you said, they had their eye on Morel for a long time. But as I've said many times, Neander goes into this with 2 hands tied behind his back. He's got to if he thinks he has to trade Paredes because he's at the height of his value and people are going to catch up with him because all he does is hit bombs to left field. Okay, at least you got to put some trust in their baseball acuity that they've done a great job. They missed on this one because Paredes is just he's an anomaly. He just can do what he does. And he does it really, really well.
And if the argument there, by the way, is like, okay, you opened up a spot for Junior Camarero to play third base.
Right.
You didn't think Paredes could play first. Jonathan Aranda, who might be an all-star, is playing first base. So, like, at the end of the day, you could say that worked out well for the Rays. But the trade itself, and everybody loves to say, well, it wasn't just Christopher Morel. It was Hunter Biggie. And I don't care about Hunter. I mean, Hunter Biggie is fine. He's a fine reliever. I'm not trying to despair. I'm really not trying to throw dirt on him. But the main part of that trade was Christopher Morel. And that's the part that's not working out. That's the part that I care about. And I have to question, how much confidence do they even have in Chris Morel? Because if you haven't noticed, while the Rays have been winning games and getting themselves back into the playoff hunt to where before this series started, they were a game out of the final wild card spot, second place in the AL East behind the New York Yankees, Christopher Morel wasn't playing.
That's right.
Like, he was barely playing. Like, Chandler Simpson was playing
because he's a huge liability.
Day, and it was to the point yesterday, GP, in a 1-0 game. It's 1-0 in the 9th inning, and here comes Josh Hader. Josh Hader is a fantastic closer. We know that, okay? But Taylor Walls had pinch ran for Jonathan Aranda late in that ball game yesterday.
Right.
And of course, as it shows, Taylor Walls then has to hit in the 9th inning.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lefty on the mound.
Yeah.
If they had any belief in Christopher Morel, why didn't they pinch hit Taylor Walls for Christopher Morel in that spot? If you had confidence that at any one swing could change the ball game yesterday, they didn't do that. The only reason why Christopher Morel had to come in and eventually face Josh Hader was because of the stuff that happened and the umpire was on a power trip and decided to eject Taylor Walls, which I'm sure we'll get into that because that has a whole story behind it. Mm-hmm. But then now Chris Morel comes up, and what does he do? He gives 2 of the worst swings I have ever seen in my life. Like, non-competitive. It's like, I don't know what we're doing here. I want to put the best 26 on the field. And you cannot convince me that Chandler Simpson is not one of the best 26 on this roster. He was helping you win baseball games, and he does, and one other player does not. But yet again, I get it. It's just so funny to me. I have so many Rays fans who were like in my mentions, and I saw them all over Twitter this weekend. And it's like they're justifying this. And it's like I had someone say, oh, well, Chandler Simpson's terrible at baseball.
Oh,
like,
my God.
What are you watching? And it's like, first of all, y'all tweet about this guy every single game because he does something so cool every single game. But then when he gets sent down, it's like, oh, well, he wasn't really that good, guys. He wasn't really that good. Like, where did this come from? All of a sudden, Chandler Simpson can't play baseball, but you've been tweeting about him and falling all over him for the last month and a half. So which one is it? Are you just holding the Rays water like they're just above criticism? They're a damn good front office, and we give credit to them when they do great things. But this is not a good move.
This Max is trying to justify the trade for Morel. And that's the only thing. That's the only thing it is. And you can say, well, Chandler Simpson needs to go down and work on his defense. First of all, if he's going to play outfield at the major league level, he needs to be playing in the major leagues and learning the sight lines and the lights and everything else of these major league ballparks, because that's how you learn to get great jumps. And you learn the idiosyncrasies of Fenway Park and this Astros park as well. All these different outfields that you have to learn. You're not going to learn that at Durham. And so working on his defense, he can do that at the major league level. Not that Morel is a great defender. I don't think. And by the way, all these defensive analytics, a lot of them are subjective. And I've watched Chandler Simpson play outfield. I can't remember, with the exception of maybe 2 plays that I can remember where he didn't get a great jump or he did something where I'm saying, you know what, he could have done that better. But he'll learn. He's got a great skill set. He can, and he will learn to get on base. I mean, going down to Durham, you got to work on your on base percentage. You can't do that at the major league level, where you actually where you're going to have to, it's a different strike zone. There's different pitchers. And it's not like we have this overwhelming, look, Meisner, Mangum, they've played some good baseball. There's no question about it, but they're not all stars. They're not all stars. And they're going to have their ups and downs, which we've already seen. Hot starts, and then dry periods. So listen, to me, it's about Morel and it's about Chandler Simpson and it's about trying to justify that trade. And I don't care how long he stays on this roster. He's not going to get hot and increase his trade value. You just look at the way the kid plays. He's a nice young man. Christopher Morel is a very nice young man. I understand he's a very hard worker and he's mentored Caminero.
I understand. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, I understand he's very good friends with Caminero.
You got to be able to play the game of baseball. That's your primary job. And he can't play. And you can say, yeah, they scored 16 runs on Saturday, and they did. Okay, but how many did they score on Friday? You think they could have used Chandler Simpson to get on base and manufacture a run on Friday? Yeah, that would have helped when they lose 2-1. How about yesterday when Taj Bradley pitches a freaking gem, 10 strikeouts? He was unhittable, and you're off
his uniform, baby.
Yeah. You can't scratch out a run. Would it have been helped to have Chandler Simpson in that situation? Hell yeah, it would. A guy that can manufacture run, put pressure. And the thing is, it's just not about Chandler Simpson's numbers. He affects the entire lineup. When he's on base, distracting a pitcher, getting more fastballs for these guys to hit. His effect
on the opposing defenders and opposing pitchers.
Right. It's not just so you look at it, like to your point, they win games when Chandler Simpson plays. They win games. They lose games when Christopher Morel plays. I think we're 15-19 when he plays. So when he starts. So it's I don't get it. Nobody gets it. I understand what Neander's saying. These are all nice things. He can work on these. He won't be playing a lot at the major league level. Why not? This kid, to me, should be playing every day and be at the top of your lineup or in the 9-hole every single day because of the way he affects the entire game, not just his individual stats that people want to look at. And if you look at those stats, they're across the board 10 times better than Christopher Morel. Like, it's not even close. If you want to do apples to apples, and then if you want to say, how does he affect the game as a whole? No question that he makes the entire lineup better by his distraction on the base pass. We've seen it. So it's one of the, and not that this should be a huge part of it. And in evaluating trades and things, you shouldn't be thinking about the fans, right? But this team never thinks about the fans. And this is a guy that has created so much excitement. At some point, it is entertainment. It is entertainment. And unless you have a clear-cut decision that you're making that is clearly, from a baseball standpoint, way better, which is not. It's just the opposite of that. Then you can't make this move. pisses off the fans, pisses off. And by the way, I talked to a guy who played in the leagues for 10 years who texted me, was like, damn, can you believe they sent Chandler Simpson down? I said, and so I called him. I said, what kind of effect do you think that has on the club, inside the clubhouse? He goes, oh, definitely. Guys are like, what the F are we doing? They lose confidence and they understand what this subtext is about Christopher Morel. And there's like, we're trying to win games here. And this is not helping us win games. You're taking away a weapon. So it affects the clubhouse as well. And I don't care how good your chemistry is, when guys get sent away that are helping you win and you keep other guys start rolling their eyes. And it creates ill will in the clubhouse. So there's a lot of stuff that happens when you.
I just don't understand. It's like, again, like the Rays a month ago, we were looking at them going, middle of the road baseball team, maybe even below average, nothing to write home. It's going to be a long summer trying to watch this team play baseball and try to score runs. And then all of a sudden something flipped, and it's not just Chandler Simpson. I don't want to say that all the success is him. I mean, clearly there are other guys in this lineup who have started to pull their weight. Caminero being one of them. And Josh Lowe coming back from injury. Look at how much he's raised the floor of that lineup. And there's some Ha-Seong Kim now just went on his he had his first AAA game yesterday, I believe. So he'll be here in no time. But also then people will go, well, we'll see Chandler Simpson again. He'll be here soon. Will he? Because the Rays just told me by their actions that Cameron Meisner is ahead of Chandler Simpson in their mind. Jake Mangum is ahead of Chandler Simpson in their mind. And Johnny DeLuca is also hurt right now. I know he had a little bit of a setback, but he's eligible to come off the IL, I believe, maybe next week or even this week. We'll see what happens there. I have to think Johnny DeLuca is ahead of Chandler Simpson in the pecking order. And even Richie Palacios, who's hurt, is probably ahead of Chandler Simpson in the pecking order. So when are we going to see Chandler Simpson again? This doesn't seem like it's going to be something, he's going to be there for a week or two and he'll be. I don't think so. I don't know when you're going to see Chandler Simpson again. So I don't really necessarily understand that argument. And then people also have brought up, well, he never played AAA. He went straight to AA and then was in AAA for a little bit and came up. I don't care. Like, I don't care. I got to see him at the major league level, and what I saw from him, I liked. And I think he acquitted himself very nicely to the clubhouse and on that roster.
Huge situations against very tough pitchers. We've seen this. This guy, can you really look at him and what he did, hitting 285 overall and stealing 19 bags and say, oh, he's not ready for the major leagues. Are you out of your freaking mind?
And by the way, it's not like he's only struck out 14 times. Only struck out 14 times in 133 at-bats. So that tells me at the very least he's getting the bat on the ball. And, maybe you want to, like, I don't know I just don't know what you're asking out of this guy. Like, we all know he's not going to be a big bopper. Like, he is in many ways this generation's Juan Pierre. And last time I checked, Juan Pierre was a major part of a championship winning team in 2003 with the Florida Marlins and had a 15-year career. Were we having discussions back then about, Juan Pierre doesn't hit home runs. He doesn't hit the ball in the gap, so we have to send him down. No, that wasn't a thing.
Anybody who's talking about that does not understand baseball. As Kenneth McCleary says here, with Chandler Simpson, how many of the great managers of the past would have had that man in the leadoff spot? What do you think Sparky Anderson, Billy Martin, and Gene Mauch and others would have had him leading off? Of course they would. It's one of the things that bugs me about analytics is the fact that they don't the speed and the on-base guys who are stealing bags and creating. And you listen to pitchers talk about guys who are on base and how it bothers them. You listen to other hitters talk about when you get a guy on in front of you like a Chandler Simpson, how much less focused the pitcher is on the batter. It's such a huge advantage. I don't know, where's the analytics on that? Where's the analytics on that? You can't measure that in a number. All right. And that's what Chandler said. The number you can measure, do they win when he plays? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. At a better clip than than he doesn't play. That's all I need to know. And I can see it with my eyes when I watch him play. All right, so let's move on to something else. And we do need to mention Caminero, who was absolutely on fire. 13 RBIs in the last 5 days.
He had 13 RBIs in an 18 at-bat span.
Is that good?
Well, pretty good. He had more RBIs this weekend than 13 teams had runs.
How about that? And he's also got the fastest bat in baseball. just from a velocity standpoint. I mean, this kid is just, and yes, that's one of the reasons you had to trade. You didn't have to trade Palacios. I think you could have figured out a way to get him at first base, DH. Paredes. You could have figured that out. You don't give up on a bat like that, in my opinion, especially to go get a guy like Morel, who's been a huge disappointment. All right, other things to talk about from this weekend. Yes, Taylor Wall's veins were popping out of his head. If you saw this yesterday in a gross display of umpiring, once again, the pitch that Hader throws, that's down and away, clearly a ball, and Taylor Wall steps out and, did he tap his helmet? And actually, like back where we were spring training and asking for a review? Yeah, he did it. Should that be cause to throw him out of the game? Absolutely not. 100% not, and especially not in that situation. If that's just an umpire overreaching who misses a call and doesn't want to get shown up by the batter, just take your ego, stuff it away. You screwed up the call, let the guy vent a little bit, and then move on with the game. That's the way it should work. But no, some of these umpires, they got to be the show. They got to come out in front, look up, and say, you're out of the game for arguing balls and strikes. I mean, just come on. I thought we were over this. This is what's going to bring us robotic umps, idiots like this, and doing stupid stuff like that. So, yeah.
It's like they're threatened by it. It's honestly like they're threatened by the fact that the ABS system is coming sooner rather than later. But even like the whole sequence, like you couldn't even tell that he threw Taylor Walls out of the baseball game. Like he did it so like nonchalant. Like what did he do? Just point up or something like that? Yeah. Like he kind
of tapped his helmet and looked up like in spring training when they were, doing reviewing calls. He's like, can I review that? Just being a smart ass. No, you can't. They're not doing that in the regular season. You can't do that. So, absolutely. It's something that umpires need to just move on and just let it go when you screw up a call. A couple other things from this weekend. We mentioned Taj Bradley, who was absolutely fantastic. 10 strikeouts yesterday, some of the best stuff I've seen him have. And that's, we got to remember with Taj, he's still a really, really young player. And he's going to, when he kind of gets a hold of his emotions and can, when things go wrong, really lock in and get back to, making the pitch that he needs to make, he's going to be a great pitcher. His stuff is outstanding, and we saw that yesterday. We mentioned Junior Caminero. A couple off the field things. I think. By the way, I think we lost Nick for a second here. We'll get him back in a second. A couple off the field things I know you guys want to talk about. The Rays had this pre-construction yard sale at the Trop this weekend. I don't know what the hell pre-construction we're talking about here. We're talking about rebuilding the roof, pre-construction on the Trop. I mean, we haven't really even, the city will look at that this week and try to decide how much money they're going to spend on the Trop. It's a whole nother discussion, by the way. Are they actually going to do